Morning.
Morning.
Okay, here we go.
My computer just shut off to reconfigure.
Perfect timing.
Anyway, yeah, so we'll just go off. I'll see what I can do here. Wow, just did it right now. So anyways, I'll call the meeting to order. We have a beautiful day here, so hopefully we can get this over with and enjoy some of the day. I'll ask everyone to put their phones on vibrate or shut them off while the meeting's in progress. And I'll remind council of declaration of pecuniary interest if it arises. We have minutes here from the June 15th meeting. I'll look for a motion to receive them if they're in order.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Giroux and seconded by Councillor Webb. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, we have our first public meeting for zoning or planning, so we'll give this a go, and I know others are doing it, so it should work out okay. So similar to doing it in the council chamber. I'll look for a motion to go into the public meeting for the zoning bylaw amendment. Moved by Councillor Pomeroy and seconded by Councillor Ellis. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, we have two zoning bylaw amendments. I'll read this thing. There's the two are, the first applicant is Fred and Linda Lautenslager. Properties described as part of lot 15 and 16, concession 6, Methuen Ward, Cashabog Lake, having a roll number of 1531010072170. And the second one is for Stephen and Joanne Heaver. The property is described as lot 13, concession 6, Methuen Ward, Connors Bay, having a property roll number of 153101005366600. Any person may attend the public meeting and or verbal or written representation either in support or in opposition of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment. If a person or public body does not make oral submission at a public meeting or make written submissions to the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen before the proposed zoning bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen to the local planning appeal tribunal. If a person or public body does not make an oral submission at the public meeting or make written submissions to the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen before the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is passed, the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of the appeal before the local planning appeal tribunal unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to add the person or public body as a party. If you wish to be notified of the passing of the zoning bylaw amendment, you must make a written request to the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen. That's for the same for both of these applications. The first application is Fred and Linda Lautenslager. So I'll turn it over to Daryl.
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council. Good morning. This is a statutory public meeting under Section 34 of the Planning Act. With respect to this application, I'm able to confirm that notice was given by first-class prepaid mail to all property owners within 120 meters. The property was posted. The application was also circulated to prescribed ministers' names, as well as posted on the township website, all on June 15th, 2020. With respect to comments received, we received comments from Crow Valley Conservation Authority indicating no concerns. And in fact, the property owner was previously issued a permit by Crow Valley on February the 26th, 2020. With respect to the health unit, they indicated that they had no concerns with respect or objections with respect to the application. And in fact, on May the 7th, 2020, there was an inspection completed regarding the existing septic system. The subject property is located on the south shore of McDonald Bay of Cashabog Lake, having civic address 544 Peninsula Road, which is a township road. It's designated shoreline in the township official plan and designated shoreline areas and waterfront in the county official plan. The property is currently zoned seasonal residential. The property has a lot area of 0.81 acres. It has a shoreline frontage of 222 feet and a road frontage of 190 feet. If this property is familiar to council, it's because it was the subject of a stopping up, closure, and conveyance bylaw, being bylaw 2020-021, which was approved by council, passed by council earlier this year. That gives it the lot area, which is in fact greater than the minimum standard of the zoning bylaw. The property is currently occupied by a 1,234 square foot, one-story single detached cottage, which was constructed circa 1950s. It also has an attached 411 square foot lakeside deck, as well as a 24 square foot lakeside balcony, as well as a front porch of 195 square feet. The cottage is set back from the high water mark 52 feet. The deck is set back 47 feet. The property also is currently occupied by a series of accessory structures, a children's playhouse, a detached garage, a boat shed, and a lake edge deck and dock. The existing lot coverage is approximately 12%. If approved, the existing cottage would be demolished and replaced by a new two-story cottage to be partially located on the footprint of the existing cottage. The ground floor area of the new cottage is proposed to be 1,930 square feet. It has attached decks of 112 square feet and 423 square feet, as well as on the roadside, an attached covered entry porch of 339 square feet. All other existing buildings and structures are to remain, as is the existing septic system. Setbacks would remain the same as the existing, being 52 feet from the water to the cottage, 47 feet to the decks. The lot coverage would be slightly increased to 14.5, which is still within the minimum lot coverage of the SR zone, which is the maximum of 15%. Mr. Mayor, on the basis of our planning review, we've concluded that this application conforms to all relevant land use policy, is consistent with the PPS, and therefore represents good planning. Accordingly, subject to any public comments or new information received this morning or questions arising from council, we recommend that council proceed to pass the bylaw as presented. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions from council, or this is the one part without the public being visible? I guess the opportunity for them will be through written or after viewing this video. I don't know how it's going to work for that part of it. Is that how it works, Daryl, then? Because I can't see the public here. So
up till this point in time, Your Worship, anyone receiving a notice or otherwise requesting to be heard or represented at the statutory public meeting is either to request from the host and be registered to enter into the Zoom meeting, this meeting, or submit written comments prior to council making a decision.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from council? Hearing none, we can move into the next. We'll do the bylaws after. Maybe we can do them immediately following this to get them out of the way. The next application is for Joanne and Stephen Heber. Daryl, if you'd like to go ahead.
I believe Emma is presenting this report. Is she there, okay. Bianca?
She's there now.
Okay, hi Emma.
Hello, how are you this morning?
Okay, we're just moving into the application for Joanne and Stephen Heber. If you would like to bring the information forward, I'm just trying to get my computer going here.
Okay. Well, thank you and good morning, everybody. This application for rezoning has been submitted by the owners of the subject property, Stephen and Joanne Heber. The lands subject to the application are located in Part Lot 13, Concession 7 in the Methuen Ward, municipally known as 890 Fire Route 75. The subject lands are located on Cashbog Lake on Connor Bay. Notice of this rezoning was provided via first-class mail, circulated to all property owners within 120 meters of the subject property. Notice was provided to the prescribed ministries and agencies and also posted on the Township website on June 15th, 2020. The property subject to this application comprises an area of 1.5 acres with point-to-point shoreline frontage of approximately 61.6 meters or 202 feet. The property is currently developed in the form of a 384 square foot single-story vacation dwelling with an attached 55 square foot waterfront deck. Setbacks to the dwelling and deck from the high water mark are currently 73.1 feet and 68.5 feet respectively. A small privy and shed also occupy the property and are located to the rear of the dwelling, and lot coverage is currently approximately 1%. The applicants are proposing to redevelop the property in the form of a new 1,476 square foot vacation dwelling with an attached 216 square foot screen room and 516 square foot lakeside deck. The new dwelling is to be located in the same area as the existing dwelling and will utilize much of the existing footprint. The new vacation dwelling would be 24.1 feet in height and includes a walkout basement. Setbacks to the new vacation dwelling and deck from the high water mark would be maintained as are currently existing, being 73.1 feet and 68.5 feet. As proposed, the dwelling and deck would also maintain reduced westerly side yard setbacks of approximately 9.8 feet and 11.4 feet. The application is also proposing the construction of a new septic system, being setback 75.4 feet or 23 meters from the high water mark, and a new 768 square foot detached garage, which will replace the existing shed and would be located outside of the required water yard. The detached garage would also have a reduced westerly side yard of 19.6 feet. If approved, the lot coverage on the property would increase to approximately 5%. The subject property is identified as being rural lands in the PPS and the growth plan, both of which recognize resource-based recreational uses such as vacation dwellings as being permitted. Likewise, the subject property is designated shoreline areas in the waterfront in the county official plan and shoreline in the township official plan, both of which permit seasonal dwellings. Policies of the county and the township official plans also promote the preservation of shoreline vegetation and natural form. The proposed application would increase the built form within the water yard. However, the expanded area would be set back further from the shoreline, which does maintain moderate tree coverage. Alternative locations on the property are also highly limited given the rocky terrain of the property. Based on our review, we believe the application upholds the spirit and intent of the county and township official plan policies. With respect to the zoning, the subject property is currently zoned seasonal residential in the township's comprehensive zoning bylaw. A draft bylaw has been prepared to rezone the property to Special District 232 to facilitate the proposed development, and this zoning bylaw amendment would recognize deficient setbacks as follows: 23-meter water yard setback to the proposed dwelling, 20.9 front and water yard setback to the proposed deck, 23-meter water yard setback to the proposed septic system, 3-meter west side yard setback to the proposed dwelling, 3.5-meter west side yard setback to the proposed deck, and a 6-meter west side yard setback to the proposed detached garage. The draft zoning bylaw does also include provisions to cap the ground floor area and the height of the dwelling in order to preserve vegetation and natural views. Comments on the application have been received from Peterborough Public Health and Crow Valley Conservation Authority, both of which indicated no concerns with the application. Comments were also submitted with the application from neighboring property owners expressing support for the new development. Based on our review of the subject application, it is our opinion that the application conforms to all relevant planning policy and subject to any new information or public comments received, it is our recommendation that the draft bylaw be passed as presented and that the balance of our report be received. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I do see the applicants on the screen here, Steve and Jody Heber. Is there anything you wanted to add to that, Steve?
No, that's good. That's kind of what we've asked for, and so thank you.
We hope to move it back to to accommodate the rock. So hopefully we're not as close as we've asked for. We're further
Once
back.
we dig, maybe we find out we can push it back, which we want to do. So we don't know until we dig.
That's right. Okay, and I do see, so if there's anybody that wishes to speak in favor of this, I'll just take it as Steve and Jody, and I see Pete Patterson here. Pete, did you have anything to add to that? As far as, I'm not sure if you're, it sounds like the neighbor's in favor, so.
We are. Yeah, we're very supportive. No problem, Kim and I.
Okay. All right, well, and I don't see anybody else on the screen to speak against this application, so if there's, does council have anything to add to this or have any questions?
Not,
Deputy
good.
Mayor Joe?
us.
We're good.
Okay, Deputy Mayor
Nice.
Joe, you had a question?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Emma, thank you for your presentation this morning. It all looks good. I just had a quick question. The septic is to be 23 meters back from the shoreline, but I couldn't find on my small prints the elevation between the elevation that where the septic tank is going from there to the water's edge.
This-
The septic bed, it will be very high. It'll be at the top of the property. So, and the tank will be alongside, I think it's in one of our drawings, will be to the east of the dwelling.
All right, thank you for that. It's hard to tell on paper if you don't get your actual feet out and look at the property. So I just had that question. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from council? So I'll look for a motion to receive these reports, and we'll deal with the bylaw as soon as we go back into the public meeting. Moved by Deputy Mayor Giroux and seconded by Councillor Webb. All in favor? Carried. Okay, so I'll look for a motion to go back into the public meeting or the regular council meeting, and we can deal with the bylaws then. Moved by Councillor Ellis, seconded by Councillor Pomeroy. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, we're back into the regular council meeting. And if we could bring those two bylaws forward, Bob, and we'll deal with them if I can catch up here. I don't hide that I'm not a multitasker with two computers on the go.
Okay, through you, Mayor Martin. First bylaw is a bylaw to amend the comprehensive zoning bylaw of the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen in order to change the zone category on a portion of the lands identified as parts of Lot 15 and 16, Concession 6, Methuen Ward, to Special District 233 zone, in order to permit the redevelopment of the lot in the form of a new single detached dwelling with 2 attached lakeside decks, while also introducing certain site-specific regulations, further to an application by Fred and Linda Lautenschlager.
Okay, and what's council's thoughts on that? Councillor Ellis, you're moving.
Yes, motion to approve the recommendation. I'm sure the property owners are very anxious to get to work there. It's been a
Yeah,
long haul.
okay. Moved by Councillor Ellis, seconded by Councillor Pomeroy. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, the next bylaw, Bob. Bylaw, Bob.
Yep, there you go. Bylaw number 2, through you, Mayor Martin, a bylaw to amend the comprehensive zoning bylaw of the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen in order to change the zone category on a portion of lands identified as Part Lot 13, Concession 6, Methuen Ward, to Special District 232 in order to permit the redevelopment of the lot in the form of a single detached vacation dwelling, inclusive of an attached lakeside deck, together with a new detached garage and septic system, while also introducing certain site-specific regulations further to an application by Joanne and Stephen Heber.
All right.
Through you,
Deputy
Mr.
Mayor
Mayor. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I will motion to approve the recommendation.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Giroux and seconded by anybody? Councillor Pomeroy. All in favor? And that's carried. So the two applications are approved, and we'll move on to the next. Thank you everyone for coming on to this. It's the first one we've done, so it seems to work okay. So next, we don't have any committee of adjustment today. So we have delegations here, and the first delegation is from Huckleberg. It's Kathy Hamilton. I'm just looking, are they here? Bianca, will they?
She's entering now.
Okay.
Goodness.
There you go.
Hey, there, I got it. Sorry, it took me a minute. You think
Yeah.
we'd be professional at this by now?
I know, eh? Well, nobody is. Anyways, that's technology, right? So good morning, Kathy.
Good morning. I have Jen Pulfer here with me. Oh, sorry, Jen Moore, the supervisor at Havelock as well.
Okay, good morning. Yeah, so the reason you're here today is for the library space that you're using, and it's basically to give council an update on what you're using it for and what your needs will be in the future. So I know it's hard to project where you're going right now with everything changing every day, but if you could give us a little bit of an update, it'll help council understand what's going on.
Sure. So until COVID, we weren't using it very much, just mostly storage and a few meetings. But since COVID started, we've been using the space pretty regularly, had some staff in doing some work, getting ready to use it for the summer program. So our big summer camps that we normally run have been canceled, but we're going to be offering a small camp for staff and board members only for the children. So that would be running out of here. We're starting next week, actually. We just had permission from Public Health, just approved that. So July 13th is what we're planning on. And that would be 5 days a week, from 7:15 or 7 o'clock in the morning till 5:30, 5:45 each day. Yeah, and in the fall, we hope to use it for our cook that cooks for our school age programs. She does morning and afternoon snack for up to about 140 people, 40 children. So provided school goes back as it's planning, I think, then we expect that we'll need her in here cooking, if not every day, every other day to prepare enough snack. So that's our hope, to continue to use it for that. And potentially some office space, Jen?
Yeah, some office space and staff meetings in the bigger room. It's probably hard for them to hear me.
Yeah, so yes, we've been doing staff meetings and board meetings. Our board only meets 4 or 5 times a year, but our staff meet every month. So the plan is to continue that, and that would be in evenings.
Okay. Yeah. So I think what's happened is we're kind of looking at it because it was sitting empty, and we were wondering, you know, if you were going to need the space, should we relook at the agreement we have? And I know with COVID, it's messed everything up as far as trying to know where you stand and where you're going. So it was just a thought to bring council up to speed on what you're dealing with, and you know, your letter explains a lot of things as far as not wanting to go to the school, or not really. It wasn't your first choice, but it was something you had to do. So you're still kind of working through that. And space was an issue over there. But the contract or agreement runs out in 2023. So we were just kind of looking at what other uses could be made of the facility if you decide, you know, that you just don't need it, or whatever. If we could work out a new agreement
Yes, we would be using it, and I do know that costs for everything have gone up, and so we're totally open. If you need a little increase in rent, we're totally open to that. And sharing, if someone's needing the space, I know Sandra from Children's Services and I had a conversation before COVID. I'm going to say early, maybe January or February, and she was hopeful that we might be able to open up some type of a parent-child hub or of some sort in Havelock again. Some of our Havelock families aren't able to utilize the Norwood hub, and it would be great to have something running again in Havelock. And she was excited to know that we still had our foot in this space a little bit. So yeah, so she may be interested in chatting with council at some point too about a children's program or parent program.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to open it up to council. If you have any questions, Councillor Ellis and then Councillor Pomeroy. You're muted.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, Tad. You mentioned a staffing program starts July 13th. Can you just kind of explain what?
Sure, you're breaking up a little bit, Larry.
Yeah, he's frozen right now.
So the program that we're going to run will be a couple of staff here, one starting early in the morning and looking after, I think, 6 children, Jan?
Mentioned July 13th.
You might be better to shut your video off, Larry, and just use the audio. It's freezing up.
Okay.
Oh, you're muted. It's usually me doing that, so.
Okay, how am I now? All right.
Better, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Larry.
Well, that's my question was what that was. I didn't understand this program starting July 13th.
Oh, okay. So that's the summer program. We usually run a camp for about 50 children in Norwood and 25 in Havelock, but we were unable to staff that this year with the COVID cohorts. So our staff, to get our staff back to work, are in need of care. So we were going to run a small camp out of the space in Havelock with 2 staff and 6 children. So our staff can get back to work starting July 13th.
Okay. And so it's not possible to utilize the Havelock Public School for that? No?
I'm not sure. They were,
They hadn't really given us.
they hadn't given us permission when we started to make a plan. So yeah, we were kind of under the wire trying to get approval and things. And the school, sometimes the communication takes a while. And so they were deciding whether they would they're going to allow the program back in, our full-time program, but they were unsure whether they would allow us in camps, the school board.
Okay, then other than that, there's space not really needed other than for the cooking in the fall?
Yes, and we use the office occasionally and just for meeting spaces in the evening. But we wouldn't be using it during the day other than cooking and maybe the office. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
All right, Barry?
Yeah, Kathy,
Morning.
the library board have been wondering if you're required all of the space downstairs because they have a couple of programs themselves and they want some book storage and so on and so forth. So they're quite interested to see if you know, if the space can be shared.
For sure, yes. We're good at sharing. We teach our children that all the time.
Okay.
Yes, no, that's good. Good information for us to have. I know there's been some questions about what we're using it for, and that's what we're here for, is just to, yeah, open up that dialogue and see what we can do to work together, for sure.
Yeah. Dave, go ahead.
Thanks, Mayor Martin. Thanks, Kathy, for coming this morning, you and your staff. Thank you for the information that you have provided. It's for me, it's given me a better in-depth on what's going on. We all appreciate the fact that you're here and what you do for our community. And as you might assume, that we're all looking for space at all the time. I know you made a move that you didn't really want to make, but it was something that had to be done. So if we can find a way to share, as you just spoke of, that'd be great, because we need to utilize every bit of space we can. So thanks,
Yes.
Kathy.
Yes, no, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Okay, and Hart, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for your presentation today, Kathy.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
My question would be, what would be the maximum, or say maximum space or minimum space that you would need? So say if we entered into some kind of sharing agreement, whether it be with the library or like you referenced that camp, how much space would that camp need to operate? Like, would it
so we would be just using the one room. The small back room probably wouldn't be used at all. So if you were wanting to move some things down, if that's what you mean, for the library space for the summer, and then into the fall, mostly the kitchen and the office, and then occasionally that bigger room for our meetings. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I'm just trying to gauge in terms of, you know, what you guys need in terms of moving forward, but in terms of if we're going to bring somebody in there too, how much space they'd have to utilize, right? So
yeah, and so depending on who it was, they might want to use, you know, bigger tables and chairs and things, whichever group it is. That room could be utilized, the bigger room as well, by different types of groups. Depends on who you're thinking. That's all. Who it would work
I believe
for.
you said it before, but you'd be open to working with any of these groups in terms of if we had to.
Sure, we're great at sharing.
I know that. I had to ask. Thank you.
That's okay. Thanks.
Barry, go ahead.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Kathy, I hope that this COVID-19 is soon over, and
Yes.
I would like to have a meeting like with you and, you know, that council at the site and explain, you know, what you might need, what you don't need. And, you know, at least we have somewhere to go from there, because it's one thing to talk about it here, but on site I find much better.
Sure, yeah. The after the summer is over, Barry, we won't be utilizing the space for children and staff as much. So yeah, hopefully maybe into the early fall we can get together.
Okay.
That would be really great for
That'd be good.
timing,
Yeah.
hopefully.
As we get into phase 3, hopefully, like, you know, like it sounds like it's going to be in the next few weeks, but like you say, early September, maybe, like once you get things rolling, we could get together, and it might be worth, you know, like we don't even know who it's going to be that might be able to use the facility. We have staffing things that we could use space. The library board has an idea. They're a delegation after you, looking for what Barry had said about using it for, you know, the historical society or something like that. So there's lots of ideas, and everybody's got different ideas. So early fall, if we could get together, you know, and look at if there's a way of sharing space or seeing exactly what you need, like Barry said. So yeah, thank you for coming today. Does council have any other questions? Seeing none. Yeah, thanks for this today, Kathy. And
Thank
yeah,
you, appreciate it.
we'll keep the lines open so we can, you know, maybe come up with a new idea for the space. You'll know more in September, I think, as far as if school goes back or not. That's going to be the next thing. So, okay, well, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Kath.
I'll look for a motion to receive the delegation. Moved by Deputy Mayor Giroux and seconded by Councillor Ellis. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Okay, take care.
We'll move into the second delegation, and that's the library board. And we'll, are they going to come online here? Okay, Robbie? There she is. Disconnecting, so. Good morning, Robbie.
Morning.
I'll welcome to the meeting. We just met with Stepping Stones, who's using the basement currently at the library, and you had some ideas in the letter that you had here. It's nice to see you're being proactive anyways to keep an eye on what's happening down there, and you have a lot of good ideas. Did you want to add to your letter there and bring council up to speed with your thoughts?
One of the things that I didn't put in the memo is in regards to community response to what people wanted for the library, and that was that there was where we could do presentations for them or other interesting things to the community, and that's about it. And anyways, I believe I covered most of everything in my memo, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, has council got any questions for Robbie? Dave, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. When we're over with this pandemic and we get back to whatever is normal, will the hours of operation for the library change, or will they remain the same? How many hours a week are we open now, or were we?
Well, we have the flexibility to expand our hours, except we'd have to come to council for approval since you are our main source of funding. And I'm sure we could expand the hours if there was a definite need for it.
Thank you.
Barry, go ahead.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Robbie. Do we have a summer program usually, Robbie, for to put on too? And I know we haven't before, and it's quite congested in the upper part of the library.
Yes, absolutely. And with the additional space, we'd be able to put on bigger and better summer programs for our community. The summer programs are targeted towards children. However, we can also do things for seniors and other interested parties. It gives us far more flexibility to expand our services.
Okay. Yeah, so we're all in the same problem right now, is you're only allowed to have 10 people max, and that includes staff. So you can't really fit too many people in any of our buildings right now. But Larry, go ahead. You're muted. You're muted, Larry.
Good morning, Robbie. Thanks for the presentation there. I think one of the things that would help me, and hopefully the rest of council as well, we have a facility and we have a number of agencies that are interested in obtaining space there. So something I think would be helpful, at least to me anyway, would be, for an example, the library board. How much space, minimum or maximum space that they would need if they were sharing. And the same to, sorry, I could have talked about this when Kathy was here, but she's not. So hopefully she's listening. The same requirement from Hucklebug, for an example, how much space they would need, minimum, maximum, and the periods of time they need it. And I think that would help council when we get to the point for having a meeting together. Then we could look at the different agencies if we're going to share, and how to basically split up the building to accommodate the different agencies. But if we knew the minimum or maximum amount of room that each opponent would need, then it would help council when we have that meeting.
Right. And we have not determined that yet. We were coming to council because just to share our vision. However, we have, quite frankly, personally, I have not seen the facility. I've been in the library for years now, but I've never been downstairs. So I don't really know what the space is. We could go into a more in-depth thing of the amount of space we need. This is something that we could provide at a later time if we're in consideration for the space, for all or some of the space. So.
But it definitely sounds like it's going to be possibly a shared facility. Again, we had an idea of what each agency really needed. Again, minimum, maximum space. When we do have that meeting in the fall, that it would be some help to help deciding.
Right. Okay. Well, that's a summer project for us. So
Yeah.
Provide that information to you, but we'd be very happy to do it.
Okay, Art, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was gonna ask if there was much discussion between the library and the preschool, but I guess by the fact that Robbie hasn't seen the downstairs of the library, that gives me the answer to that question. I think moving forward to kind of resolve that issue, there needs to be a dialogue between those two agencies, obviously with us involved because we're the caretaker here, but there's no use us talking to one and then talking to the other. Let's bring both to the table, find out what one needs, what the other needs. Robbie's talking about running children's programs. I know Kathy obviously runs children's programs, and then she's talking about bringing another children's program into the building. So, I mean, we need some kind of discussion there because we don't need 3 different children's programs running out of the same building, right? So let's get some discussion. Let's get some focus in terms of who's going to run what, and if they're going to run the children's programs, and as Robbie said, maybe they run a seniors or an adult program or something like that. But just to get the maximum use and the maximum efficiency out of that building. I think I'm kind of stunned by the fact that from what I'm hearing, there's not a lot of discussion between the two agencies. And to me, moving forward, if we're going to get the most out of that building, there has to be that kind of synergy there. So.
Yeah, so I think that's what we're talking about in early September, if we could get the groups together. Even probably better if they get together without council, and then council can, it's up to council how we do it, but it's just, they need to get talking together here and see if they can come up with something to bring to council that they think would work. There's probably a mutual agreement here that would work. If that's what council wants to do, is use it for this type of thing. Like I said, there's lots of other ideas, that we'll have to talk about as a group and see what best suits the building. So, so with that, I thank you, Robbie. Has anybody got any other questions for Robbie? Well, thank you for your letter. That's the thing, these letters were pretty well self-explanatory. There's lots of good ideas on here, and it's a proactive approach because you heard that it's possibly coming forward. So in September, if we could get you together to kind of share your ideas between each other and see if there's something we can do, it might be a good thing to make the best use of the building. So
that makes perfect sense, and we'd be quite excited to maybe bring in the Historical Society as well, and that's always been something of a pet thing for me. I love the history of our area, and I'd love to be able to have that shared with our community at large. And also the having a little used bookstore, not store, but you know, where people could go and buy books would certainly be a benefit to everyone, I believe. So thank you very much. And I know on behalf of the library board, I'm sure we'd be very happy to get together with the other groups and hash all this out for everyone's benefit. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for coming out today. I'll look for a motion to receive this delegation. Moved by Councillor Webb, seconded by Deputy Mayor Giroux. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, thank you, Robbie.
Thank you.
If council hears any kids screaming in the background, there's a bit of a daycare going on here today. So there's 3 kids screaming and yelling out the other room there. So I told them to keep it down a little bit, but bear with me here. If you hear something, get out of line. But anyways, with that, we'll move into staff reports for information here. We had a report from the fire chief for incidents in May. It's a short-term accommodation report, but it was actually a long report with lots of information on there. And Wendellin's general update plus her the budget performance report. I'll look for a motion to receive those if there isn't any questions. Councillor Webb, did you have a question?
Yeah, a couple of questions.
Okay.
Well,
are you moving the motion?
So what?
Were you moving the motion anyway, or to close?
Yeah, no, I'll move it to receive it, but I just had a question. I was gonna have a question for Laura, but I think maybe it's something we can talk about after. Wendelin, in terms of the tax receivables, I noticed they were, way down as compared to this point last year.
Yes.
Can you comment on that as to, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it was substantial. It was more than 50%.
Yeah. So as I had said the last meeting, you had asked made the comment and asked to have the comparable of the previous year. So normally throughout the year it fluctuates, but it was quite high mid-year last year, and we are basically right on point at this time of the year to have the revenue still coming in. So that's why the last meeting I had recommended that we don't continue with the waiving of the penalty starting in August. It's going to be waived for July 1st. So that's why, because it seems that people are still being able to pay their taxes so far, and I have put notification on the arrears notices that if anybody has individual issues that they can contact me for arrangements.
Okay, I'm a little bit confused by that. So we've received 455,000, but at the same time last year we received 1.7 million.
No, that's what's outstanding right now. 455,000 is outstanding, and last year it was over almost 2 million.
Okay.
So it seems to me that people are being very diligent in making sure that their taxes are paid during the COVID pandemic.
So that's good then. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's it, Jim.
I think those 2 reports, Wendelin, what my thoughts were, they could both be put together, because the first update for $13,983, the COVID impact, I think both those reports show that there is an impact on other things too, whether it's building permits. I know we may come back on them, but I think the overall COVID impact right now, when you look at both of your reports, is a lot more than $13,900 if you count like arena rentals, ball diamonds. Like, we're still cutting grass, but we're not renting the field. There's a lot more impact than 13,000. It's not as bad as the big cities, but I think once you do the summary, we may bounce back on building permits. It seems like a lot of people, it's kind of like a delayed reaction, and now we're going to be swamped, and hopefully our numbers come back up. But when you look at the two reports, I think in the end we'll be able to summarize things better and use both of these. We'll look at the performance report with the COVID. It's not just laptops and sanitizer.
Yeah, those were just the expenses, just to keep you informed,
Yeah.
because there was a cap there. The others was dealing more with the revenue reductions.
Okay, Barry, or no, sorry, it was Dave and then Barry.
Thank you for that, Wendland. Now, to your point, we don't have the figure yet on what the other side is going to cost us yet.
Right.
So I'm glad we had this discussion, because it brings me right back up to the recommendation that council receives this report for information. And I think this should be shared with the public, not just the council. So my recommendation is to take that recommendation right out of there. I think council should speak to this particular thing at each council meeting. The public should know about this. So,
yeah.
Just a thought.
Yeah, and that's why once we receive it, it is public information, so everybody can see it anyway. So, Barry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was something like Hart. I was misinformed here, I think. When the receivables were 455.9, and around the same time last year, the taxes receivable was 1.7 million. To me, it looks like at this time last year, it was 1.7 million. And it's only, like as Hart expressed there, it's what, a third or so.
I got mixed up on the terminology. I got to go back to accounting class, Barry.
Yeah, everything's reversed.
I got mixed up between receivable and payable.
Payable.
Yeah, that's why Wendellin's here. That's why she gets the big box.
Okay,
No.
any other questions with regard?
Yeah, and while we still have Wendland here, I see there's a $10 million increase for the connecting link funding. So I would like to know if she's looking into that.
$10 million increase?
Yeah, they put another $10 million in the connecting link funding.
Oh, okay, I'll look into that. No, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, I got that information last week, or this, yeah. So that's all I have for you, Wendland.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Larry, did you have something, Larry? Okay, so I'm looking for somebody to second the receiving these reports for information. Seconded by Councillor Pomeroy. All in favor? Carried. Okay, so we'll move into staff reports for follow-up action. So first one is Laura with request for purchase of shoreline for Crown Reserve. Go ahead, Laura.
Thank you. So as mentioned in the report to council, the planning department has no issues with the sale of that unopened shoreline road allowance.
Okay, yeah, it's something we've done over the years, and there's a few of them still left that never took advantage the last time. So there is a process to go through, and this is just one part of it. So Deputy Mayor Giroux.
Thanks, Mayor Martin. Laura, I have one question for you. So I'm perfectly clear, the shoreline that we're talking about is actually the shoreline, not the side of that property?
That's right. So through you, Mr. Mayor, it's the shoreline road allowance that's owned by the MNRF.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Any other questions with regards to that? So look for a motion that we direct staff to, that we don't object to this, or we're in favor of it. Moved by Councillor Ellis and seconded by Councillor Pomeroy. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, the next Next one is Burnt Dam and Preston Road there. Ryan Andrew.
Good morning, Mayor Martin and members of council. This report is basically outlining a long-standing issue that we had at Burnt Dam and Preston Road. It was identified back in 2015 under the roads needs study that we correct this intersection. So our staff met with Engage Engineering on site and came up with a few options for council to decide on. In view of the options that were provided, staff are in favor of option 2. And we feel that that's a good way to resolve the issue without having to spend a whole lot of extra money. So this work was included under the capital budgets talks during in the spring when it was approved. So this is an approved item. The plan is we would get this, if council chooses to move forward with this, we would get this done at the same time as the surface treatment for this road.
So Ryan, with our road needs study that we had done before, like I had understood that we were going to put a landing on there for the people coming off of Burnt Dam Road. There's quite a hill there. I'm not really comfortable with a yield sign there personally, and I'm not an engineer, so I'm not going to get into that part of it. But the option that you are recommending, I really kind of prefer a combination. Like I think option 1 had a stop sign there, but I think we have to have some sort of a landing and redo that corner, because even a yield sign, if they have to stop in the wintertime, there's a good chance they're not going to get going again. And I think that's some of the problem right now. I don't want to hold this up. I know they're really anxious to get something done there. But personally, I think there has to be either a stop sign, even if you have to put one on Burnt Dam Road, or on Preston Road. I know it changes the flow of the highway, but it might make it safer for them people coming off of Burnt Dam Road. Just my thought, but I'll open it up to council and see what the thoughts are there. So Deputy Mayor Giroux.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I realize Peter, I guess, is on vacation this week. I would have had some questions for him. I do believe Councillor Ellis was on that review the day that took place. And I'm not sure that in my vision of it, I wasn't there, but the way they've got it redesigned and arced a little bit, the number 2 option isn't the best one. So I'd ask Councillor Ellis, who was on site that day, what his thoughts are.
Okay, Larry?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I was on site for that, as well as the drainage issue on the 6th line. The traffic that follows the 6th line going south on Preston Road, we all know that the 6th line is probably the heaviest traveled road in our municipality because of where it feeds. So yeah, we looked at several scenarios, as the report indicates, to do something with the hill coming out of Burnt Dam. It's very costly because of the buildup that's required. You have fire roads off it, very close there, so it's not an easy task, and it would be an expensive one. So yeah, we looked at two different ideas there. One, removing the yield, as it indicates, off of Preston Road, because a lot of people feel that that's a confusing thing. So yeah, the intent was to remove that yield sign, place the yield sign on Burnt Dam Road, but improve the visibility to the west on, if you're coming from Burnt Dam Road heading south, and you come up that grade, there's no visibility, or poor visibility, I would say, to your west on Preston. So one of the comments that we had that day was, if that was cleared, so it's totally visible as you come up the grade, then you have a chance to say, yeah, I'm going to have to stop because the traffic's flying, and we all know how they travel that road. The day we were there, we witnessed it. even with the yield sign, people coming up Preston Road, heading east. So anyway, there are some scenarios there. It's council's decision. I lean towards the recommendation, the second recommendation there. But it would need to make sure that that corner is cleared, and I don't think that's in the report. Ryan?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it should be in the report because in the diagrams it indicates that all the vegetation would be cleared at the time of this project.
That satisfies me there, because that gives anybody heading south on Burnt Dam Road lots of visibility as they come to the grade to find out whether they have to stop or just yield to the traffic that's coming. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it.
Thanks, Larry. Hart, you had a comment or question?
Just a question. Why do we continue to insist on having a yield sign coming off Burnt Dam Road?
I think it's so they don't have to stop, but it's just if they do stop.
But I mean,
that's fine.
If I look at the aerial pictures of it, I know maybe the roads aren't compatible, but it looks no different to me than say 46 and 44 where they break off. So when we come off 44, there's not a yield sign getting back onto 46. It's a stop sign.
Yeah.
So I don't even understand why there's a discussion. There should be a stop sign at the top of Burnt Dam Road. Now we can go from there in terms of how you want to proceed. But the whole reason for this was a safety issue. To me, we're not addressing the safety issue at all. We're trying to address whether people on Burnt Dam Road feel they're merging into traffic fast enough or something. I can't understand why there wouldn't be a stop sign there. Can somebody please explain that to me? Or take me to another place where two roads merge like that and there's a yield and not a stop sign.
We had that problem on North School Road. We had a lot of yields with no stops, and we had complaints about that. So I understand what staff's trying to do and the engineer, but I have the same concern as far as if you're not going to have a stop on Burnt Dam, I think you have to have a stop on Preston Road. One way or the other, somebody has to stop. The yield sign is okay if nobody's coming, but as soon as they stop, they're not going to get going again in the wintertime if there's any kind of snow on the road.
Well, maybe that's for us to maintain the roads, so that they can. But like, I'm not going to worry about that extra 5 or 10 seconds it takes somebody to get going and merge into traffic, instead of put a yield sign there and have somebody come around the corner and get killed. This was raised as a safety issue.
Yeah.
Okay. We brought it on as a safety issue, and all of a sudden we're talking about, well, geez, they can't merge onto the Preston Road fast enough. It has nothing to do with it. It's a safety issue. There should be a stop sign there. What you want to do on Preston Road in terms of a yield sign, in terms of that, I agree totally with Larry that having a yield sign there just creates confusion, because now you've got two people coming from two different areas, both not knowing what's going on. So they're slowing down. You're slowing people down coming from behind you. It's just, to me, take out the yield sign off Preston Road, put a stop sign on the top of Burnt Dam Road.
There is now.
And maybe some chevrons around the corner so that they see. But I don't know.
I don't think we're addressing the problem. So you're totally right. The stop sign's there and the yield signs are there. Take the yield signs out and have a free for all is basically what it's going to be. There's still a stop. We do have a stop sign at Preston or at Burnt Dam right now, if I remember right. But Barry, go ahead.
There is a stop sign. Through you, Mr. Mayor, there is a stop sign there.
And that's what the people are complaining about. It's a bad grade but anyways, go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I have to agree with you, because one stop sign on Preston Road, this isn't an engineered thing, but then that Burnt Dam Road that comes up very steeply there to the 6th line, they would have the right of way. Preston Road is busy, but it's not a city road, and if they had to stop and let or they're supposed to stop, I think that would alleviate most of the safety problems. I know it's a busy road, but If you're going to alter Burnt Dam Road, it's going to cost a lot of money. And to me, like I think everyone should go back and have a look at it and form their own opinion. But like I'm kind of in favor of the way you're thinking there too, because it's Burnt Dam Road is going to be the one that's the hardest to please. And if you take that stop sign out there and move it over on Preston Road, is your problem solved?
Some of the people in there thought that with the, because then they didn't have to worry about the car coming through on Preston Road when they were coming up the hill. But Dave, did you have something? No? Okay, I thought I seen your hand. So without holding this up, I think you're going to hear from the public. I think some people will see the meeting or hear what we're looking at. And you know, there's a lot of work went into this, and we're not engineers, but I think, like Barry said, if you go in, it's common sense. I think if you go look at it, and just from the complaints that I've had on the road, and there's been lots of them, it's a dangerous intersection for the people on Burnt Dam Road. It's Preston Road to stop them. I know people don't like stopping. It's a, you know, like Larry said, it's a busy road, but it's probably the cheapest scenario to try and build a landing, like you say, with that fire road so close to the hill. You would be filling right past that fire road to get a landing, and so then you're gonna have a problem on that fire road to get up to the. So I think it's just by filling it might be a problem, where if there was an option to either get a small landing up top and keep the stop sign, or like I even looked at the area that you're looking at grubbing. If you had to turn the road into that area there, it's a kind of a level area there. You know, swing the road a little bit to the left and put it right on the corner. I don't know if the visibility is there if you did that. Like I say, we're not engineers. We're just throwing our ideas out, and most of the ideas that we have are from complaints from people on Burnt Dam Road, and what their thoughts were. They did like the idea of a stop sign on Preston Road. You know, it would solve a lot of problems as far as the them emerging out into that lane there off of the hill. But it is something worth taking a look at, and you know, to get a real idea of what you're dealing with, because we've all been there. But if you listen to the people back there, I don't think they would be happy with this idea, because it's really not doing anything other than changing a yield sign, taking a yield sign away and just leaving a stop sign there. I know there's a cost involved with whatever we do, but I'm not worried about cost as much as safety. So, you know, so it might be worth deferring this to the next meeting. As far I know, our meeting's a month away though, and we're going to end up holding it up. That's going to be too long, and we'll lose the season. So I don't know what your idea here is on how we can do it. We can ask the engineer or staff to look at it again. They can relay our thoughts there and then just carry on with whatever, but I'm sure the public will get involved anyways with whatever we do. What's council's thoughts here on how you want to deal with this? Dave?
I'm gonna, through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm gonna go back and ask Councillor Ellis one question, and then I have an idea. Councillor Ellis, when you were there in the second scenario, were we going to move Preston Road to the south a little bit to make more visibility as you come around, or were we going to leave the road base right where it is today?
Okay, where did you indicate, Deputy Mayor?
If we were coming west on Preston Road and we start into the arc, are we going to move the road slightly to the left or to the south on the corner? Or is the road bed going to remain the way it is now?
So there was no discussion about changing Preston Road or the 6th line conjunction there? There was no talk about doing that. That may be a topic that wasn't discussed that day. And the only other thing I can add, we had discussions around the stop sign on Burnt Dam Road and winter conditions. So one of the comments were, well, the 6th line is one of the roads because of a school route that it's probably maintained first or has a little more priority, so that some of that discussion was around that stop sign and that hill to make sure it was maintained in winter months. The other thing was the corner that Ryan is indicating is slated to be cleared, indicating whether it's a stop sign or a yield sign on Burnt Dam Road, that side to the west, it would be cleared, so there's much more visibility. But either way, stop sign versus yield sign, the talk was about winter months, and the need then would be to make sure that it's properly maintained because of the hill and ice road conditions.
Thanks, Larry. I'm not sure the time frame, Mr. Mayor, on when we're going to do work on Preston Road, and I guess that was the whole idea when we did it. We would try and rectify the problem we have at that corner. So I guess in the meantime, if you want to, if the consensus of council is to defer this, I guess we better put a stop sign up someplace so we can, I mean, it's been on the books since 2015.
Yeah, I think the one option I thought from our road needs study years ago was it was I think like you're saying, like it was almost reconfiguring that corner to a T. Instead of having the corner there, it was coming to an intersection instead of what we've got right now. So the big problem is the speed on Preston Road, like Larry said. So, but I don't want to hold this up, like you say, it's been since 2015. We have 3 options there. You know, Barry, you can go ahead and then I'll finish.
Well, I don't believe in taking this back to the engineer. That's a cost.
Yeah.
And if we don't go back and look at it, you really don't know. So, you know, like you said, it's been on the book since 2005, and it was talked about for years before that. I know Ray McCutcheon approached years ago on the same thing, and he came up with the same consensus like that you have. If you stop the traffic coming off Preston Road onto the 6th line, one sign. Take the stop sign out on Burnt Dam Road. So I think the consensus of council would be to go and have a look at it and come back with their opinion, because it's still a safety factor if you put a stop sign on Burnt Dam Road.
I think that's option 1, is it not? To put a stop sign on Burnt Dam Road?
Yeah.
No, I don't know, but I'm saying get rid of the stop sign. I think.
I mean, sorry, it was to put a stop sign on Preston Road was option 1, I think. If I read it right, it
could be
proposed stop sign.
Always stop.
What's that?
Option 1's an always stop, so it'd be 2 stop signs. It'd be a stop sign on Burnt Dam Road and a stop sign on Preston Road.
I think that would solve more of the problem, but like you say, like without holding it up, I think, you know, that would be the safest route. But go ahead, Hart.
Well, I like Deputy Mayor Giroux's comment in terms of reworking that corner when we actually get around to doing Preston Road. But until then, I'll make a motion that, yeah, we'll just stop sign on Preston Road and keep the stop sign on Burnt Dam Road for now, until we can reassess this in the future in terms of redoing that intersection. But at the moment.
Yeah, like I think we're going to hear more from the public. Anyways, what's your thoughts, Ryan, as far as, you know, I'll let you finish up here because, you know, that it's, even if we did the stop signs on Preston Road, like no matter what, we're going to hear about it one way or the other, whether it's Burnt Dam or Preston Road. But if we're going to rework the corner, that would solve the problem now for the safety problem. And if there's an option to reroute the intersection there and like Dave said, move the road bed over or something, there might be another option there. But option one would solve the problem for safety right now. And, you know, it's been on the books this long. It's just stop signs. If we're not going to change the grade of Burnt Dam, at least we're creating a little safer corner there with people slowing them down. I don't know. Dave, go ahead.
I don't want to belabor this, but as all of council should go back 1 by 1 or 2 by 2 or whatever, look at it, because you're going to find out that that's a wide corner. It would take very little money to move that road over. Therefore, give a landing for the Burnt Dam Road to come up and make it a legitimate stop. They wouldn't have to worry about stopping on a hill and so on and so on. So I think but we should make a decision on it shortly.
Yeah. So Bob, is there a way, like I know our next meeting is in August, but as far as dealing with this, like a specific thing on the road, is there a way of, you know, getting together, just taking another look at it? Like Dave says, there is quite a space there to get the landing up on. It would almost be on the roadbed of Preston Road right now. If you moved it over a little bit to the south, it would change the flow of traffic, though. I'm sure that turn there for the speed of the road has to be a certain radius. And right now it's probably at the radius to allow 80 kilometers or whatever the speed limit is there now. So we're getting in way over. Okay, we're getting way over what we're supposed to be doing, but just so everybody understands what it's all about, it would be nice if we could go out and take a look at it this week and get this moving though, Bob. So is there a way of doing it?
Well, through you, Mayor Martin, if council wishes to have a site visit, we could certainly arrange for that this week and follow up quickly with, we could have a special council meeting for 10 or 15 minutes to approve this item and move on.
I think that would be the best way to keep it moving, because otherwise we'll lose the season. You okay with that, Ryan?
Yeah, that's fine. I think it's under option 3. It's anticipated that it would be over 50,000 to do that, to make the landing and stuff. So I mean,
yeah.
As the report kind of indicates, if council chose to go that route, we'd have to put a little bit more work into figuring those out to define those costs. We didn't go that far. We were just waiting to see what council's thoughts were prior to that. So.
Well, I think the big thing here is we're just worried about safety. So whatever we got to do, to straighten that corner out. It's been a problem for years. And
hold on a second, because we can address the safety issue with stop signs.
Yeah.
We don't have to rebuild the intersection.
No, that's the,
you know. Well, I'm just saying. Well, then let's not say that, you know, because I've heard people on here bring up cost that in terms of this being an issue, and now we're talking about rebuilding the whole intersection.
It was supposed to be rebuilt years ago. That's the problem, and that's why it hasn't been. But safety is going to be the first thing to come. And, you know, stop signs are the quick fix. Let's just, you know, we can just get on with it right now. And
well, I'm just looking forward because, as you know, everybody's watching this. So when we install a new intersection here, instead of just putting a stop sign, I'm sure somebody else will want a new intersection there. So.
Yeah, no matter what we do. Go ahead, Barry.
Yeah. I think you've talked about it enough, and if you want to have a meeting, let's do that and get on.
Yeah, like that option might work, Hart, and that's what. Let's all go out and see it. Let's deal with it this week and get it moving. Just familiarize yourself with the site. We'll meet there and get it going here. That might be the option, like you're saying, but you have to see it to like everybody has to be.
I've seen it. Driven by it 100 times. Like I know it's there, Jim. I think we all do. I don't know why.
Well, then make a motion that we go with the three-way stop.
I made a motion to go with a two-way stop.
Two-way and a yield off Burnt Dam.
And I never got called. So.
Okay, so redo that motion, Hart, and we'll see where it goes to.
Well, my option would be, I guess it would be. Stop sign be option 1. Stop signs to revise the intersection to an all-way stop.
Okay.
Approximate cost $6,500.
Okay. So, Councillor Webb put forward a motion that would solve the problem. Do I have a seconder?
You do.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Giroux. Okay. All in favor of that motion? So it's carried. Okay. It's carried. Go ahead, Larry.
Just a little clarity when we're talking about always stop.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to solve the problem on Burnt Dam Road. That's, go ahead.
It doesn't solve, but I just want to be clear, an always stop means how many stop signs are we going to have at the intersection?
3.
So you're going to stop coming south on the 6th, you're going to stop Preston Road, and you're going to stop on Burnt Dam Road. Just so I'm clear.
That's the motion.
Yeah.
Okay, Dave.
Question on the motion?
Yeah.
I agreed with the motion.
We've already.
Seconded it. Larry, I misunderstood that. Always stop on one road. That was Preston Road, right?
Yeah, that both ways.
Burnt Dam Road, the issue always has been of the stop sign, right?
That's right.
And there's presently there's a stop sign there.
Okay. I can't not take back my second of the motion, but all right, that's fine. I thought we were discussing an always stop on Preston Road.
It was an always stop all three ways, right, Hart? Hart, you made the motion. You meant all 3-way stop?
Yeah, just like the motion said, 3-way stop.
Okay, what option was that, Hart?
Number one.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so it's probably still going to cause a problem at Burnt Dam Road, but the option 1 there is there. And
Well,
you know what?
if you'd like me to change my motion.
No, we've already, I don't, how's it work, Bob, here? We've already done it here as far as, but there was some misunderstanding on the Burnt Dam Road stop sign, but this will get it moving.
Well,
you know,
through you, Mayor Martin, the motion as put forward by Councillor Webb and seconded by Deputy Mayor Giroux, that option 1 be adopted as per the report of the Supervisor of Infrastructure. That motion has been carried.
Okay.
Councillor Webb wishes to withdraw that motion. He may do so.
Well, I'm curious as to how we're going to put in a 3-way stop and not modify the intersection. Because as of right now, there's a curve there. So how are we going to be able to install? That's what I'm saying. When I made the motion, to me, an all-way stop would have been a stop coming off Preston Road, right? And then let the other traffic flow. But I'm not understanding, like, because it's on a curve. So if we're stopping, you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yeah, but the engineer did put that forward in the drawing. Go ahead, Barry.
I guess we don't need to make an appointment to go back and look at it. So let's carry on.
Okay. Larry?
You know, we've carried on this long. Just for my own curiosity, over the years of the complaints there, the concern for safety was at what spot?
Burnt Dam.
Burnt Dam. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, entering onto the road. Okay, so we have passed the motion to go with option 1. We can deal with that and keep things moving and see how it works out. Like, you know, it's one of those things. It's no matter what we do, it's not going to be 100%. But let's see how that works for the people back there. With that, we can move on to the next. Oh,
carry on. We've hammered this thing here.
All right. Well, I'm seeing people that have voted for the motion shaking their heads. So I'm wondering what's going on here.
Yeah, it can always. Yeah, we better keep moving on. We did pass a motion. I think it's the Burnt Dam thing, but we'll hear about it anyway. So let's just leave it as it is. It will improve some there. It just might not be 100%. So. So the next staff report here is the canteen permit application. Bob, I haven't seen one of these for some others around the town. I was surprised this came forward. So
Well, through you, Mayor Martin, there's only one option in this report. So this is an application that's been brought forward by John Logan for the operation of Sugar Shack Mini Donut, 5140 Highway 7, which is property owned by DJ Trailers. As per section 2.1 of bylaw 2008-42, the grant of a license shall only be made by a resolution of council. So we're bringing these forward, and I guess these applications have not been brought forward recently, but that is the process. So we're bringing them forward. This particular application is pretty much completed. We would suggest that council approve based on condition that all the provisions of bylaw 2008-42 are satisfied.
Yeah, I just wondered, we had another one on Highway 7. I didn't see one of these come through the township.
That, through you, Mayor Martin, that application is in process, not ready to be presented to council as of yet. We've had bylaw enforcement visit that particular location. Fire chief has also visited that location. We're operating on a goodwill basis for the time being in order to assist local businesses, and they have brought forth their application, and that will be presented to a future meeting of council.
Okay, thank you. So we have a application before us. What's council's thoughts? Approve the application. Councillor Ellis? You're muted there, Larry.
I motion to approve the recommendation from staff.
Okay, seconder? Deputy Mayor Giroux? All in favor? Any questions? All in favor? Carried.
Cops will be there a lot.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you miss staff reports and information, item number 5?
They were just for information, so we didn't do specifics. As far as if anybody had any questions, that was the time to do it.
Well, we weren't asked if there was any questions on that.
Well, no, they were for information. If you had any questions, most people are bringing up questions with regards to some of the things in there, but when it's for information, I normally just pass. Go ahead, Bob.
Through you, Mayor Martin, if I may suggest, perhaps there were a few reports there, and perhaps going through one by one briefly and quickly would allow that none are missed.
Okay.
It just might help council to ask their questions if required.
Okay, so we did move through them, but did you have some questions with regards to that, Barry?
Well, I did have some questions, but the whole thing of it is I don't like you grouping them all together and say, you know, we received them. Like, sure, we ask, you know, Wendell and her question and so on and so forth. But when it came to Bob, he's got the biggest report and we have no questions. I'm sure there's got to be more people than me that have questions.
Well, that's what I suggested to Bob last week with this, since he's changed it to the staff reports for information, we were doing it to move through, and then if anybody had any questions, they could deal with it. But you're right, because I know the last meeting, his report got kind of missed too. So as far as the staff reports for information, you know, we can, if you had a question with regards to that, let's do it now. And I think for the next meeting, you're right, we'll go through them individually. They're not just for information, they're council can go through each individually, and so go ahead, Barry.
Well, I was wondering about the administration assistants. Fire and Public Works commenced her new role, and Building Planning has commenced her new role. Who's actually doing these jobs? Give us some direction, you know.
Through you, Mayor Martin, these are items related to the bringing on of a planner to the township. So, of course, our planner has started, which initiated some reassignment of duties for frontline staff. So we had Sonia move from the planning assistant position and is now working as the building and planning assistant. And Leah's role has changed, and she has now taken on the role of Fire and Public Works Assistant.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
Okay, was there any other questions with regards to Bob's report? Go ahead, Hart.
Yeah, I just had a question in terms of the no mask, no meeting policy, Bob.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, just to explain to council as we continue with our gradual reopening process, we are now receiving appointments at the municipal office, and we are receiving them by appointment only for the time being, so the door is not open to general traffic, but we are receiving appointments for those that require it. So we're asking members of the public to wear a mask. Staff will also wear a mask, and we are physically distancing. And this is for the protection of both the public and staff members at this time.
Go ahead, Hart.
If we had a member of the public who had an issue and wanted to come in and for some reason didn't want to wear a mask or said maybe they couldn't wear a mask, what would we do then?
Well, we would offer them a mask. We will have masks here to offer to the public. We would ask that they stand behind the window at the front, the protective window. But we certainly, we're not going to be hard line on this through you, Mayor Martin, but we would certainly request that everyone respect the rules as they have been suggested to us by public health.
Yeah. Thank you, Bob.
Okay. Any other questions? Go ahead, Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is the fire chief. Thank you for your report, Chief. We talked last meeting about another report coming forward. In this report here, it gives all the medical calls and the alarms and the other calls involving North Kawartha and Marmor and so on. With the number of calls, is there any reason why this report can't have the number of firemen that participated in those calls?
It could, but do you mean for all 40 calls?
Well, for instance, you had the second one on medical calls, or it says a fire vehicle May the 1st at 9:35 p.m., a grass fire at May the 4th, 6 p.m. How many out of those 4 calls, how many firemen showed up? That's a simple question.
You take the vehicle fire, I would have to go back and look, but I would say there was probably 6 to 12.
Well,
but I would have to go back to look at that actual numbers.
I didn't expect that you would remember that. I'm just saying, in the future, is there a problem that can't be on the report? If it's a big clerical thing, no problem. I'm just asking a question.
It's more work, yes. Because
Well,
I'd have to go back to the report to pull the names off of it.
And I could think of some reasons why you wouldn't want to put that on there, but I'm not going to get into it on here. So,
no, they're volunteer firemen, they're paid. I don't know why they wouldn't.
Yeah.
Well, let's just leave it for now, and council can discuss this at a later date. Thank you.
Okay.
Barry?
Yeah, Ray, you say it's more work, but now you got more staff to help you.
Yeah, I'm not saying work. There's some other things around it I could explain to you, but anyways, so in the future with the reports for information, I will go through all of them. I'm sorry for skipping over that. We did that a few months ago to try and speed up the meetings, and most of these questions you can phone staff and ask them. It doesn't have to be done here in the meeting. So most of that was just their updates, but we will go through them individually, and you can ask your questions at the next meeting. I'll make sure I do that. So It was just a thing that we tried through, Bob and I were trying to get things moving here. Go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, there's no problem with most of it, but
yeah,
I think they should be done individually. If there is a question, I realize there was no question on, well, one of them, but when it comes to Bob's, I mean, I had 2 questions, Hart had 1. And you say we could phone. Well, we're still gonna have to talk to him. So we're taking up his time anyway, so we might better do it now and get the answer in front of everyone. And Bob's your uncle. Bob's your uncle.
That's good. Okay, we will do it in the future. I just wrote the notes down to phone staff after the meeting. When we used to have Tuesday meetings, I would bring these questions on the Monday just to get clarification. I didn't have to do it in the public meeting. Most of them are just straightforward answers. So, but in the future, we'll go through them one by one and we'll let everybody speak. So with that, we did already pass it and moved out of that section. So we'll move on to number 4 for follow-up action, and that's the development charge study. Bob, you're
muted, Bob. Bob, you're muted.
Here we go. Councillor Ellis, you've taught me well. So let's try that one again. Here we go. Through you, Mayor Martin. During the budget process earlier this year, Council expressed a desire to possibly pursue development charges. That process requires that a background study be presented, and that background study would review potential growth in the township and the infrastructure that would be required to support that growth. So if council wishes to continue with that item and pursue development charges, staff is putting forward that we proceed with a request for quotation.
okay. So there is a recommendation on there. Is there any questions from council? So the recommendation here is that staff hereby authorized to issue a request for quotation for the purposes of having a consultant produce a development charge background study. What's your thoughts? Deputy Mayor Giroux?
Thank you, Mayor Martin. This development charges, hiring, is this just a quotation of what it's going to cost, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct, Bob?
That is correct. It's a quotation to have the study completed, and they would bring forward a proposal with a cost.
Yep.
Okay.
I'd like to approve that recommendation.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Giroux. Seconder, Councillor Webb. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, the next one is the video recording of council meetings. We passed one in the way back there for COVID here to do our Zoom meetings, and this is something that we had in the budget for to purchase the equipment to move ahead with to keep the video going in the council chamber. So we have a recommendation there also. Go ahead, Barry.
What would be the cost on this, Jim?
I think, go ahead, Bob.
Through you, Mayor Martin, we would prefer not to discuss that in open council so as not to prejudice the purchase of the equipment, but we would get the best value for dollar. We have a budgeted amount in our budget, and we would certainly work to not exceed that budget amount and hopefully work beneath that amount.
Yeah. Okay, Barry?
Yeah, well, I'd like to find out before we approve this, what it costs. I still, I'm of the old adage, I guess. If you really want to know what's going on at a council meeting, you can come out. As far as video recordings, it's an added cost. Taxpayers, are still on the hook for it. So I can't see its advantage. Maybe the rest of you can. But anyway, I would like to see the cost on it if you want to put it on a closed meeting.
Okay, Wenlam,
The budgeted amount is 5,000.
that's public anyway, so.
Yes.
That's what's budgeted, and I have had a lot of compliments. People are liking this. We're not getting huge numbers. Some of them, I think the first one was really high watching it, but most are going this way now as far as, there's different methods of doing it. Township South Monaghan has a simple idea, and it sounds pretty reasonable, and North Kawarthas is very similar. It's just recorded, though. It's not live streaming. It's just recorded. So,
So is that what ours would be, is just recorded?
Yeah. Yeah, same as what we're doing right now, basically.
Except we're not zooming, really.
No, it would be a camera. Yeah. So anyways, we have a recommendation here. It's up to council.
So, if I may, through you, Mayor Martin, just to clarify for all council so there's no confusion, this recording equipment would be installed and used after in-person meetings commence again. So the Zoom thing is totally different while we are physically distancing, but when regular council meetings resume in the council chamber again, this video equipment would be used to post video to our website and to YouTube.
Okay.
So anyways, what's council's thoughts? Councilor Webb?
Well, I'd like to move the recommendation, but I'm like Councillor Pomeroy. I'd like to, have a price kind of, or not just approve it with no price. So is there a way we can do that, Bob?
Okay. Through you, Mayor Martin, we have now revealed that we have budgeted $5,000 for this amount, so it will not exceed the budgeted amount, and we will proceed on that basis.
Okay.
Then I will make that motion.
Okay, moved by Councilor Webb. Seconder? Councilor Ellis? All in favor? So, can you hold your hand? Did you, Councilor Ellis, is your hand up or down, or, okay, and Councilor Webb and myself, so that's carried. Okay, I'm just seeing Bob there. You got that?
We got it.
All right. Okay. So the next report is the Blue Box producer responsibility. This was a big discussion at the county because they were changing some things here. So it was going to squeeze some of the small municipalities out. But Bob, go ahead. Is it Bob? Is it your report?
Yep, through you, Mayor Martin. The provincial government is moving to transition the Blue Box program to full producer responsibility. The Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks has put forth a regulation that may put in jeopardy the Blue Box program in the village and eliminate it for municipalities' populations of 5,000 or less. So this resolution speaks to that and opposes that regulation, and it's requesting that it be sent to the Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks, as well as the Association of Municipalities of Ontario.
Yeah, and that's the county is going to be, I think they were making a delegation for AMO to talk about this, to support us in this. So go ahead, Barry.
I support Bob's recommendation. I'll make a motion to that effect.
Moved by Councillor Pomeroy and seconded by Councillor Webb. All in favor? And that's carried. So that's the end of the staff reports for, we'll move into correspondence. And the first piece of action correspondence there was by MPP Dave Smith. He sent out a message last week about a grant, a community grant for the seniors. Might be something to let the group know over on George Street that there might be an opportunity for them. I don't think they accessed it last year, or were they able to? I can't remember, but it's something to make them aware of, that this is opening up. Bob, did you have anything with that?
Nothing further to add to that correspondence through you, Mayor Martin. There is a grant opportunity there. There's two pieces to this correspondence. There's the grant opportunity, as well as, I believe, there's a Senior of the Year request.
Yeah. Okay. So we should forward that to the proper people, so I think over at the seniors group over there on George Street, I think we should make them aware of this anyways, and so they don't miss out.
And sorry, through you, Mayor Martin, just to confirm, staff would be happy to assist with any grant applications.
Okay. All right. So maybe I'll take a motion from council to direct staff to work with the seniors group. Moved by Councillor Ellis, seconded by Deputy Mayor Giroux. All in favor? And that's carried. There's two other pieces of correspondence there, one from Aqua and one from Don Berry with Future of Food and Farming Working Group. Go ahead, Bob.
Sorry, through you, Mayor Martin, I just quickly wanted to point out the correspondence from the Ontario Clean Water Agency, some interesting information for council. Wastewater epidemiology is a tool that the Ontario Clean Water Agency will be assisting with, and is a tool that will be used going forward for public health officials with respect to a potential second wave of COVID. And it's basically an opportunity to identify COVID through wastewater analysis. And the experts are suggesting that potentially they could isolate COVID cases even as definite into specific neighborhoods. So it's an interesting science to watch.
Okay. So if nobody has any questions, I'll look for a motion to receive the balance of the correspondence. Moved by Councillor Pomeroy, seconded by Councillor Webb. All in favor? And that's carried. So with that, we'll move into committee liaison reports. Let me catch up. So okay, so we have a few reports there as far as what we've been up to. The first is Councillor Ellis attended Chamber of Commerce and Cemetery Board. Did you have anything to add to any of that, Larry? Oh, you're muted. Just hit the space key.
Thank you, Mayor Martin. Yeah, just verbal regarding the Chamber of Commerce. They're getting prepared to open the kiosk on the 13th. Thanks to some help through the office, through our acting CAO, through some different supports. They even tried a trial Wi-Fi connect from the office, which did not work, but I understand through some of the members that one of the businesses closer to the kiosk have offered their Wi-Fi connect, so we're in business with computers and Wi-Fi. There was a bit of a hiccup with students, not such a big application for the summer jobs. I think we started off thinking just students, and because just students, there weren't that many of them applied, but I understand now that they do have 2 students in place to open up on the 13th with all the protection, safety issues addressed that you would in order to operate the kiosk. So that's the chamber. For cemetery board, we had a meeting at the cemetery, and that was basically to review some new layouts for the bariums. And layout was brought forward by Ray McCutcheon, and we reviewed it there. So everything was agreed upon, and that's sent to the Ontario Cemetery Board for approval. Also, a couple little things, getting ready to add some benches in the barium areas for bereavement. New setup is there, and so that was about all. It's just a matter of getting the layout agreed upon and get off to the Ontario Cemetery Board for approval. So that was the highlights of that little meeting.
Okay, thank you. All right, and then we had Barry with the Otonabee Peterborough Source Protection, Trust the Tap. I did see something on our Facebook page or something with regards to a poster about that.
I think the literature is in the package, Jim, so there's no, I don't have to explain anything. And
okay.
I think some of these liaison reports, I don't know whether they're really beneficial or not, you know, in length, because some of them take up a lot of time. But anyway.
Yeah. Well,
it's not where you've been, it's not where you've been, it's where you're going.
Okay, well, it just lets everyone know that you're still busy and life's still going on here with this COVID. So, Dave, you had a lot of Eastern Ontario Trail meetings, it looks like.
Thank you, Mayor Martin. The first two items are pretty well self-explanatory. That's our monthly meetings. And number 3, I did meet with on the 26th of June. I took a meeting in Belleville with the Warden of Hastings County, the CAO of Hastings County, and the Director of Economic Development in regards to ongoing negotiations between the Ontario Federation of ATV Clubs and Eastern Ontario Trails Alliance. These have been going on for probably 18 months that I've been involved in them. It's been a long process. I will be bringing a recommendation back to my board. I believe it's on the 8th to the 9th of July. And the negotiations involve the Federation of ATV Clubs being able to get on EOTA trails in Hastings County, that the trails they own, along with the province, without securing an EOTA permit. So it's a convoluted, long process, and I don't know whether it's going to be passed by both boards or not, but that's what the meeting was about. Thank you.
Okay. All right then. And Art, you didn't have any meetings this month, I wouldn't think so.
The school, I've got economic development meeting either, I think it's next week or the week after. So yeah, school shut down and community policing hasn't met since COVID. So
yeah, so, and that's where I'm at. I didn't have as many meetings for this report. I did have a transportation master plan meeting with the county, and a couple other county meetings, and then and then our regular council meeting for the county, and we have another one on Wednesday. This week's there's a ton of meetings this week I have. So anyway, so there'll be a lot more on the list for the next meeting. Right now, it's a lot of emails and a lot of people with questions about how to start up. You know, so most of the stuff I'm just forwarding to the office, and we're dealing with it. A lot of the stuff goes through the health unit, and I know we had some issues with speeding. I was told by the police that feel free to give out the 188 number to anybody that's complaining about anything with regards to policing. You don't have to do it yourself. they'll deal with it in the proper way, and it's probably the quickest way to deal with these things. So I haven't, Bob's got the number, and we all have it. I'm sure everybody's wrote it down, 188-310. I forget, I don't know whether it's 310 or, anyways, we'll make sure you have it, and that's the quickest way to get the police to respond to these calls that we're getting. So we do have a board meeting on the 15th or the 9th. I haven't got the dates in front of me. So like I say, it's a busy month ahead as far as all these Zoom and internet meetings and teleconferences. So with that, I'll take a motion to go ahead, Larry.
If I could, Mr. Mayor, just a little item I missed when I was talking about cemetery board. They have a program called Dedicated Tree. It's something that a lot of people don't know about, and the cemetery board is trying to get that information out. I said I would mention it at our council meeting. So what it basically is, you can purchase a tree in memory of somebody, and it has a nice little plaque goes on it to indicate who and what. So I just wanted to mention that, so at least council and whoever listens to our meeting would be aware that that is available. Thank you.
Yeah, that is a nice thing, Larry. Okay, so that's it for the activity report. I'll take a motion to receive the report. Moved by Councillor Webb and seconded by Councillor Pomeroy. All in favor? Carried. Written or oral notice of motions, I have none before me. So with that, we can move into new business. And the first on new business is Councillor Ellis with the Highway 7 update for MTO regarding the turning lanes. Do you want to expand on that, Larry?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. I had a conversation with acting CAO Bob Angione, because I know that that item or issue is going to come back to us again this summer. It's another one of those ongoing things that we've listened to for years about that stretch of highway. And so I'll turn it over to Bob, because he did the homework there. Thank you, Bob, and has some information for us.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. As council may recall, there was a delegation at the council meeting back in November of last year regarding road work by MTO on Highway 7. I reached out to MTO, and they have promised to provide an update to us. They will be providing a written update to council on their plans and what's happening with the left turn lanes and other items that they had discussed that day.
All right.
And one of the issues that was brought forward at our council meeting from one of the representatives from Sama Park was a request for that stretch of highway to be double lined to prevent possibly the turning lane issue, where when you're trying to turn on and somebody's passing, you don't see them. And unfortunately, they've repainted the lines, and they're all as they were, all dotted all the way down through that stretch. So unfortunately.
So we will need to address that, because that is a bad spot. I've noticed that myself, and I know of somebody that was in an accident there. So. Okay. So staff is going to find out what MTO is up to, because there was a lot of work scheduled for this summer, right? Bob?
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. MTO has committed to providing a written summary of what their activities will be. We will be bringing that to council.
Okay. So in the Preston Road 6-line engineering update, we dealt with that a little bit there earlier, Larry.
Stop signs.
Yeah, and then the other was the 6-line drainage. So.
So that.
Yeah.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'll ask Ryan to speak to that.
Yeah, so we did have a look at that. We're still waiting for some direction from the engineer on what our options would be and what the cost would be. So council could expect a report further to that in the future.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan. Okay, and Barry, you had a couple things there, derelict buildings and roads behind the arena potholes.
Yeah, there's some awfully big potholes up behind the arena. Like for to even get into the parking lot to go to the Matheson property. And the public school people that pick up their children, which they haven't had to do, but there is some large potholes there. I think we could probably fix them quite easily. The derelict housing buildings. There's one down on Mill Lane, corner of Mill Lane and George, which we've had numerous complaints before about it, and parts of it has fallen down, and you know, we have enough derelict buildings in town without doing something. I know Russ and Carnes has bought the other one, and he's cleaned up the grass there, and I don't know what his future plans are, but at least he's got the grass cut. And I must thank John for all the grass cutting that has been done in the township, because it does start to look a little better. Other than that, there's very little. I know you can only do so much with so little, and we've been in a bad time of our life with this COVID-19, which everybody uses. So I think most of the stuff has been addressed. I'm sure John has. I've been talking to him, and he kept me updated on the grass and the other complaints too. So thank you, John. And there was one thing I wanted to mention to John is is he aware of the public hearings in construction and building sector? Are you aware of that? No? I think there's some, I got some emails probably last week, and there's something in there anyway, but that's it. That's what it was, is public hearings on construction and building sector. And there was quite a few days that it had it on. So I just wondered if you were interested in that. So
For sure.
Okay, thank you.
Probably best just to forward them to John in case he didn't get them, but that's what I've been doing. Sometimes they get duplicates, but just forward those messages you got to him and he can follow up with it. Probably be the best way.
Yep.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Larry? Oh, sorry, Barry, you finished?
Well, I have another complaint here that just came in. Wow, that's fast. Is the parking signs on King, Donald, and Matheson on the one side that you're not supposed to park on, you know, the little median, like the big median, you're supposed to be able to park on it. But anyway, I've had some complaints that some people park right out on the road. Some people park up on between the sidewalk and partly on the road. They could be parking on the other side. So I think we mentioned signs probably a year ago, but what's our consensus on that?
Yeah, I think it was when we did the construction. I don't know if you heard anything, Ryan, as far as when we did the construction on King Street. I think there was always supposed to be stop signs on the north side of the road because the pull-off is on the other side. So
they were worried about no parking on the.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so maybe staff can look into that and bring it back to the next meeting. But yeah, there is something around there with regards to that as far as the no parking on the north side of the road. So, and I don't think the signs are up yet. It was a few years ago. So, okay, so if you could look into that, Ryan, and see if you can find out where it's at. You have something to add?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah. Barry, I'll get in touch with you. Maybe we can meet up there and have a look at that, and you can show me exactly what your concerns are.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, there's probably something around in the course in some previous Public Works. I think that was on the books like a few years ago. When we finished the construction, we had an issue with parking on the north side. The boulevard's not big enough and some people were parking on it. So I think there was supposed to be some signs there. So I think if you look back, there's already something to be done. Maybe you could take a look and just see if you can find the previous meeting that we did that. I don't know, it might be easier just to start it again, but I'm sure there's something there about it. So, okay. Deputy Mayor Giroux.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bob, when I sent you my council activity report, I actually thought I sent you a new business also. I see it didn't go through, so that's my bad. But I would like to add one for sure. And the question would go to Ryan, I guess. I realize we have a contractor coming at some point in time. We do have a big safety issue, particularly at our corners for the height of the grass when we're pulling out. It's obstructing our view. I took a drive on Sunday. It's getting pretty bad on most corners. I drove, it's surprising how many people are out walking. Every road that I was on, Preston Road, 6th Line, so on, North Road, Round Lake Road. And there's no shoulder left for people. I mean, there's all kinds of dog walkers, whatever. So they're having a hard time to get off the road because of the grass when they're meeting traffic or traffic's meeting them. So I guess I'm disappointed that we haven't started before now, although normally we don't start much before now. Can you give me a timeline when the contractor is supposed to start here?
Sure. Through Mayor Martin, the contractor we selected this year was scheduled to start 2 weeks ago due to equipment failure. They got delayed. However, some good news, they are starting today. So they will be starting on the 6th line today and moving out from there. So hopefully that will address some of your concerns. And yeah, it is, it's a little bit late, but like I said there, it was scheduled to be started 2 weeks ago, but due to an unforeseen equipment breakdown, that wasn't able to happen. So.
Okay, thank you for that, Ryan. I think it's something council is going to have to consider in the future, to talk about in the future. We used to have our own and so on and so on, and we seem to be at the mercy of contractors if they break down or need to move away. So that's a discussion for another day. And the other one through you, CEO and Joni, is, would you like me to bring up the missed email in regards to Mr. and Mrs. Sharon in the swimming at this time?
You may, if you wish, Deputy Mayor Giroux, unless you prefer to leave it to the next meeting, but you're welcome to raise that issue.
Well,
it was forwarded to, the gist of the email was forwarded to all council members.
Well, rather than go through the email, if all councilors have read the email, if it would be all right, I would just briefly discuss the several phone calls I've got in regards to swimming at the boat ramps. There's a lot of upset people, and this is the only one that actually had emailed Bob, and that was my bad also, because I neglected to give him put the TWP on the end of his email address, so that he didn't get it. So eventually he got it. But the gist of it is that I would like it if it was okay if council agreed with me that our CAO or staff would write back to the Churons and explain, or Ryan, to explain to them our reasoning why there's no swimming signs at the boat ramps. And also to give them an option of a couple of places they could go besides the boat ramps to swim on. And this particular one was at Round Lake Road, the one on Round Lake Road. So we do have a beach at Kosh Lake, and there is swimming permitted on Belmont Lake. My understanding is that done now too, because of the boat ramp there?
Yeah.
So we have one lake that I know of, Kosh Lake, with a public place that people can go swimming, and Havelock-Belmont-Methuen with 10 lakes. So I think we're missing something here. If you read the caption on Welcome to Havelock or Welcome to Havelock-Belmont-Methuen and all we have. Oh, I think there's another discussion for another day also. So this is not right. So anyway, I would prefer if you give them that option anyway, whoever writes these people back with that explanation. Ryan?
Okay, seen a couple of hands come up. Go ahead, Ryan, and then Barry.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, I did speak to Mr. Sharon a couple of weeks ago when he had concern about the signage that says that swimming is prohibited in these locations. And I did give him the explanations on why it's posted that way. And just for council's reference, typically in municipalities, they don't invite people to swim in designated boat launch areas. Certainly you can understand the safety concerns and the liability of the township having that. As well, these are not, the water is not regulated by the public health unit. So the testing of the bacteria in the water, we don't know whether it's safe to swim there or not. So that's something that we do at Kosh Lake Beach. Anytime that those levels of bacteria are elevated, our staff will go out and post signs. So during my discussion with Mr. Sharon, I did point out some of the concerns that the township had, and I did actually direct them to Kosh Lake Beach and told them it was a really nice place to go and swim. So that's kind of what happened there.
Well, I thank you for that explanation, Ryan.
Okay, Barry?
For you, Mr. Mayor, I don't think we have a leg to stand on when it comes to telling people where they can swim in the lake. I know it's a boat launch. They're swimming in the water. They could bring a canoe and leave it on shore as far as that goes. And the quality of the water, that's not up to us. That's the public health. So, you know, it's like Dave said, you know, you have one lake out of 10 that you can go and swim at. I'm sure that if you wanted to go for a swim and you went back to the boat launch and went in, I don't know what legal ramifications the township would have for you. I don't think they have any.
Okay, Larry?
Well, through you, Mr. Mayor, I agree with both Councillor Pomeroy and Deputy Mayor Giroux. We have 10 beautiful lakes, and restricting the swimming. I grew up in this neck of the woods, and a lot of these places that are now posted boat launches were places where you swam before all the boat traffic that we have today. So I think it should be something that we should discuss again, because that point, I guess. My point is, with 10 lakes, all pretty well posted no swimming, and it's due to the increase in boat traffic. So I think it's something worthwhile discussing at a future council meeting.
Yeah, I think that would be a good thing to bring it forward, because there is a lot of concerns around these. It's one of those things that they've done it for 100 years, and all of a sudden they can't, and totally understand why it's that way. But it's a good discussion thing. You're right. We have a lot of lakes, and maybe there's something we can do to try and help this situation. So we should bring it back to a future meeting. I know the idea of we're not enforcing it, and I think it probably goes along with what Barry's saying. But once it says no swimming on there, it's, there's some people like to take advantage of the wording. So anyways, and some people do listen to or pay attention to the wording. So anyway, so we should bring it forward to a future meeting because there's some good discussion there, and there's a lot of different concerns around this. So I know Mile of Memory is another one that's been around for a lot of years, and a lot of people use it. So how we deal with it, I don't know, but we should have some discussion on it and invite the public for their input too. So it could be with regards to the increased boating traffic. So okay, so is there any other new business that wasn't listed? Barry?
No, I just want to know, Jim, if you have any report from the weekend on Mile of Memories.
No, I had something there that I sent Bob a new sign look for the top of the hill there, and he's gonna look into it to see. I don't think Ryan's seen it yet. I just give it to him on Friday. Just a different look, and actually, I think the sign's much better. It's clear on the hill there. It's a tow zone. There has been comments as far as the signs are facing the wrong way and things like that. But no, I haven't heard an update from this weekend. But I was going to thank staff for taking care of that again, as far as making sure bylaw enforcement is there. A lot of the neighbors really appreciate that, and it's unfortunate that we have to do that when there is a sign there, but people just aren't paying attention. So that crown of the hill is very dangerous, and that's why I was there. Ray, I see your hand up.
We had a couple of calls out there. I was out there on the weekend, and it actually was pretty good. I took a couple of pictures for Bob, but I forgot to send them to you. There was some vehicles parked right around a no parking sign, but other than that, it was pretty good when I was there.
Yeah, okay. Ryan?
Yeah, I just wanted to update council as well. We had our, we're not doing it as a bylaw enforcement side of things. It's more, it's just our staff more educating the public on where they can safely park and where they can't. So we have had Parks and Recreation staff out there maintaining it. And the update that I got this morning was that they had to tell about 5 vehicles that they had to move. But other than that, like, it seems to be going fairly well, and people are respecting it. So a couple of the other things that we found was that there's a lot of overnight parking. So some of the same vehicles that we saw or observed there on Friday were there through the weekend. And then the other issue that we found was that some of them are parking quite a distance in between. So it wasn't enough to add another parking spot. So it was a couple of issues that way. But we did have staff out there again on the weekend, and we'll continue to keep an eye on that moving forward.
Okay, Dave?
Thanks, Mayor Martin. Just keeping on the theme of boat ramps, I could mention that on my drive Sunday morning, all our boat ramps were, the 3 anyway, both boat ramps on Round Lake were very full. I don't think you could get any more on the Round Lake side. You could on the Anderson Road if you kept parking up the road. I think there was 9 or 8 there, something like that. So it was being, Round Lake was being used, but the Cottage Association had a tournament that went for 2 days. I take it from noon one day till noon the next or whatever. So whether that brought in extras, I'm not sure how they run that tournament, whether it was for their local Cottage Association, but it was on the social media, so I'm not sure how that worked. So that was 2 of them, and then the one at Belmont was pretty full also. So
yeah,
they're being well used. I mean, there's people.
Yeah, I did talk to a neighbor that's been there for a lot of years, and I asked how it's changed over the last 4 or 5 years, and it's changed huge. It's you know, maybe whether it's a different way of like at all the boat launches seem to be busy right now. I just got an email this morning from somebody else at Kosh asking about expanding the boat launch there. You know, so I think there's going to be some discussion in the future here on how we're dealing with these things. It's like everything, everybody seems to be taking advantage of maybe their spare time or something, but this year there's a ton of people around at all these boat launches and camping. So we're going to have some discussion. And Mile of Memories right now, it's working. The neighbors seem to be okay with how it's being dealt with. You know, but if there's any other ideas, we'll have to see what we can do with all the boat launches and swimming spots. But Barry, go ahead.
Yeah, just one more thing, Jim. A week ago when I was down to Mile of Memories, there's a little parking lot at the bottom of the hill. There was only one unit in it, and you know, the rest of the road was full. So I'm taking that probably some of the people that are on the island that have access to that little parking lot at the bottom of the hill are not using it. They're parking on the road. But anyway, let's just carry on.
Yeah.
Something else here, because it's getting off close to 12 here, and I don't want to have to extend our time.
Okay, sounds good. So I know Hart looks like he's getting hungry. So anyways, we'll, if there's nothing else under other business, Larry, go ahead. You're muted.
Again.
One last thing through you, Mr. Mayor. I read a public announcement over the weekend, and it was put out there from Durham Region Medical Officer of Health. And under the Emergency Management Civil Protection Act, they're initiating a policy where all businesses are required to enforce masks inside their facilities, their stores. So I sent that to CAO Bob for his thoughts, whether it's something we should be looking at here in our municipality because of the influx of summer tourist traffic. I know some stores have already put some things in place, but what they did in Durham is enforce it as a policy for protection of the staff in these businesses. So I just offer that as information and for council thoughts.
Okay, Bob.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. Based on the emergency declaration by the province of Ontario, public health units in the different areas of Ontario are empowered to have different rules for their own areas. So we know that masks have been imposed in Durham as well as in the Toronto area. All indoor meetings require masks in the Toronto area. At this particular time, Peterborough Public Health has not imposed that rule upon us. However, as we go forward and should there be a second wave and things get serious, that may come. The dialogue on masks has certainly changed, and it has become far more accepted that masks are helpful in reducing the spread of COVID-19. So that may come to us at some point, perhaps in the fall. At this moment, it's not here based on regulations suggested by Peterborough Public Health. We could adopt it as a community on our own. However, I would suggest to council that that would be a public consultation process, and we may not want to go there just yet.
Yeah, I think it's best just to follow the Peterborough Medical Officer of Health and see where it goes right now. We are doing really well in this area. Hopefully we can keep it that way. But it's something to keep an eye on, but I don't think right now we'll want to get into that. So, okay. With that, is there any other new business items? All right, Barry?
Our next council meeting is the 4th of August. Are we going to have a real one, or are we going to have another one of these?
Probably until they go to stage 3, we'll probably be still doing this way. Closed session, we were going to talk about trying to do one in the council chamber, but right now it's pretty hard to do. I've been just following around with the rest of the townships, and most are on the same page right now. They're not ready to go back to the public meetings yet, but Hart?
Although I agree with Barry, but the only point I was going to say to Barry was that I don't think we'll be back in a meeting anytime soon, because none of this other stuff is opening. So I mean, if I can't go to a restaurant and eat, then why would we be sitting in a meeting somewhere with one another, right?
So you could look like the Lone Ranger with your mask.
Well, no, exactly. But my point is there's two different rules to all of this. It's the same reason why Walmart's allowed to be open, but the little, little restaurant at the corner is not allowed to be open. It depends. So.
Okay. Bob, you wanted to
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, just with respect to council meetings, we are certainly watching and listening to see what's happening with respect to council meetings. Currently, the regulation based on emergency orders are we could move forward with closed session meetings as an in-person council in the council chamber. Council chamber allows us enough room to physically distance.
different. So.
If that's hope they find a vaccine. We could be here for years.
We could be. Dave?
Well, I don't want to prolong this, but are we going to put our lives on hold? There's stuff we have to talk about.
Exactly.
Apparently behind in a closed door meeting. Are we going to wait till next summer and just roll on the way we are? We're going to try and settle some of this stuff.
And that's what Bob.
I don't think we need 14 people in the council chambers. Our CEO has just said that we have enough room. I think we need to move on and get rid of some of the stuff off our plate or forget about it.
And that's what Bob said, is we are moving towards a closed session meeting where we can do it safely. As far as a public meeting, we can't do it right now. That's just what it comes down to. So if what you're looking for is a closed meeting, that is in the plans, and we are moving forward. We think we can do that with the rules that are in place right now. So
that's my hope.
Okay. All right then. That's the end of the other business. There's quite a list there. So we'll move on, and the next thing, we've already dealt with the bylaws. So the next, the confirming bylaw for the July 6th meeting. I'll look for a motion moved by Councillor Webb, seconded by, everybody moved on my screen here. So seconded by, is there a seconder for that? The confirming bylaw? Councillor Ellis, all in favor, and that's carried. And motion to adjourn. Councillor Pomeroy and Deputy Mayor Giroux. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Take care.
Stay cool.
You too.